It is Compass FM. Dan Gordon, Mayor of the Waimakariri, every Tuesday morning, popping on in. G'day, Dan.
Good morning, Kiri. How are we?
We are okay, and, quite surprising, considering that I had to take my cat. You've got, what's your cat's name? Rupert. I had to take my Meowie to the vet yesterday. That's
Meowie. That's an original name.
Yeah, I came up with that one.
I hope your cat's okay, by the way.
She is a relatively large bill later, but she is actually okay. But
we've all had those.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we all have.
I've got shares in my vet clinic. So,
you do?
Yeah. Well, that's what I think I've got.
Well, you've at least paid the car park.
To be honest, then our vet surgeons do amazing work for our pets, and we at times when they're unwell, we're just so lucky we've got great support. Isn't
it amazing that literally, if there's something wrong with, well, in this case for me, it was with Meowie, fix it, do it now. And I don't care how much I did care how much it cost. It would cost quite a lot, but just do it, fix it, make the problem go away. And but humans don't tend to do that for themselves. Have you noticed that?
No, we're not very good at that. And it's Men's Health Week this week, and we're particularly poor, I think, I'm probably in that category as well. Over time, we probably don't look after ourselves as well as we should, and it's a big shout out to our men out there to make sure that you do. If you notice something abnormal or you're not feeling right, reach out and have a chat.
And that's exactly
see your doctor, for goodness sake, and tell them what's going on.
Yep.
Don't be stoic about it, because it might be something that can be easily fixed.
Absolutely, and that literally is what happened with the cat. I saw her doing something slightly different on Friday. We got a bit of a checkup. There was something wrong, and boom, 4 days later she was in surgery. So, guys, Men's Health, is it Men's Health Week?
My understanding, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's Men's Health Week this week.
Yep.
So reach out and get that support if you need it.
Go do it, guys. Do it. Now, let's have a bit of a chat. We had to very briefly talk about the court case that Waimakariri, Timaru and Whangarei councils are taking in regards to Three Waters. Can you fill us in on anything in that situation?
So effectively the case is about clarifying the question if an asset owner is deprived of their assets and their assets are expropriated or taken, then they should be compensated for it, and that's the nub of it. And so we're saying in the case of Three Waters reform, the government are looking to take our assets and will take it by force by legislation, so they should be compensating asset owners, namely councils. In our case, our assets were 602 million, and we are being offered 22 million for no worse off funding, they're calling it. So the whole case is centred around that particular point. It was in the High Court in Wellington Tuesday, Wednesday last week, and the judge has reserved her decision. So she will be, my understanding, in the next month or two, releasing a decision.
What happens if you win?
Well, the win sends a very strong message to the government that they need to revisit their legislation that they proposed, which interestingly they introduced last Thursday, which sets up the four-entity model. And we will be, and just on that point, submissions will be open shortly, and we're encouraging people to please make your submissions, please make your views be known. We've called upon and written to the Select Committee Chair and said you need to be making sure that the Select Committee is meeting around the country, not just in Wellington, so that people can go and present their views and that the Select Committee can hear those particular opinions. It's really important. If people are concerned about it, make sure your views are known.
What happens if you lose the case?
Well, there's always risk in that, right? But it was worth, I think, from our perspective and from the very strong view that we've had from our community, 95% of those who responded said they didn't want the Three Waters reform or the proposed reform that the government's proposing. Then I think it's worth challenging that, because that's what our democracy is founded on. And in our opinion, democracy is seriously challenged by this four-entity-based model, where we effectively lose not only the ownership but that effective say and control, where we really do want to be able to be in a position to influence it. We're one that has managed our asset really well, and we just don't agree with where the government's heading. In saying that, we've come up with an alternative. We've got a consultant working on that at the moment, and we will be presenting that to the Select Committee as part of that process. We have already presented that to the Minister before she made her decision, and said, well, here's a better way that we feel will have a broader buy-in. So we're not just sitting there saying, no, this is a bad idea. What we're actually coming up with an alternative that we think would carry broad support of councils throughout New Zealand.
Do you feel that there is a bit of a swing towards, oh my goodness, there is a lot that needs to be done from the public around? I mean, Dan, bless you, you're here as the Mayor of the Waimakariri, and we normally talk about Waimakariri, and in this case, you're quite high profile in the Three Waters fight. Do you think that the public opinion is slightly changing from we don't want to do anything about it, it's our resource, to hang on, there is actually quite a lot of stuff going on here and we need to fix it?
Look, there's no two ways about it that there is investment required, but actually councils across New Zealand, I'm in touch with councils a lot because of role in communities for local democracy. There is, and within all their annual plans and budgets, there is definitely a resource that they've put in for upgrading their infrastructure. But this is just an entity-based conversation in how it's governed and run, as opposed to actually getting the pipes in the ground and those things resolved. That's not going to fix that necessarily. It's 2-3 years down the track before a structure gets in place, whereas councils now are making those investments and proposing them. That they could certainly do with some funding support, some councils, and we have put in place a model based on the NZTA type model together with how we could look at funding that. But it's, if the Crown's serious about it, then it could put some money up, and at this stage it's not. It's just simply going to leverage against assets all throughout the country, and councils like our own and communities like our own would end up subsidising other councils. And we're saying, well, there's actually a much more transparent, better way of doing that. But let councils have those conversations. One size doesn't fit all. And it may well be that we end up in a regional model here, but one that we own, one that we influence. The critical thing is, if something goes wrong, who's going to fix it? And I'm not clear on that. And that we will have an effective opportunity to make sure we're well invested in here. If it was a good idea, I'd say let's grab it. But it wasn't one that was never worked on collaboratively with our sector. It was just imposed on us. There were 32 different options looked at, and the government just landed on one and didn't consult with us about that before they landed on it. And that's the bit that really grinds, because our sector was actually quite open to having that conversation and wanted to have it genuinely and to find a better way of running it. The Te Mata Arawai that's been set up as the water regulator, we absolutely support that. It should have been in place years ago, but it wasn't. It is now. Great, right behind that.
Well, things seem to be, moving, and talking about moving, you're going to Wellington this week? Is this going to be on the agenda?
The Minister of Local Government's coming along, and I see Three Waters included there, but not only Three Waters, there's Future for Local Government, RMA reform. So we've got that rural and provincial sector of local government coming together Thursday, Friday. So always good to meet with other councils from around the country and to have presentations and discussions with ministers about things which are important to us.
Good stuff. Two more things. One, what's on at council this week?
We've got a series of briefings today on various matters, so we'll be in briefings from about 10:30 for most of the day, and apart from that, business as usual.
Business as usual.
Well, there's lots of things going on in our place. We have every Tuesday we meet as a council, and we're either briefing or having formal meetings. And the briefings are just to inform us on positions that, and staff to get a bit of guidance from us of our thinking, which will lead their way into decision-making reports or reports for decision-making. So it's a good opportunity to just have an open discussion and to make sure that we're well across the business of council, which, as you can imagine, there's lots of things that we're doing, and it's good to know what's happening, and the briefing model we find works really well.
Fantastic. Now, finally, Dan, the Silverstream subdivision in Kaiapoi, that connection underneath the motorway by the river there, the Kaiapoi, has that road always been there?
There used to be Adelaide Terrace, which was the alignment which went along and then went round past the cemetery. With the subdivision plan, there needed to be a realignment of that. So we've worked for the last 4 years with the developer to achieve a really good outcome, and I was delighted to be there on Friday to officially open that. And can I just say, I think Silverstream as developers are fantastic. We're very lucky to have developers like Silverstream or Lime, or Fred Rahm and Jack Lim, who are the owners of that in our district, as we are with all developers. Collier's last week put out a statement to say that our district's a rock star as far as they're concerned, and that was really nice endorsement that they see that we're a go-ahead place and that it's right for good investment. So that they are now having the link road open, the bus will run through there, it finally completes that part, and it's a much better outcome than perhaps we were originally intending, and that's been working in partnership with the developer to see a better outcome. And as I say, we that developer particularly, what they say they're going to do, they do, and we're delighted to have that partnership here and to work with other developers for great outcomes in our district.
Fantastic. Dan Gordon, have you announced your candidacy yet?
No, I haven't, Kerry.
Not yet, yeah.
You're looking for a scoop, but yes, I said to you last week you won't be getting it last week and not this morning. But hey, look, you'll be one of the first to know when I've decided to announce. It's not far away. I'll be announcing my intentions.
Fair enough. Dan Gordon, Mayor of the Waimakariri District. Thanks for popping into Compass FM. We'll have another chat to you next week.
Look forward to it, Kerry. Thank you.
Compass FM.